Some sad news from the world of hockey as Leafs famed defenseman Bobby Baun has passed away. Bob Baun was known as one of the hardest and cleanest hitters of all time in his long 18-year NHL career. He played junior hockey with the Toronto Marlies of the OHA, the predecessor to the OHL, winning 2 Memorial Cups in 1955 and 1956. After which the Leafs decided to sign him. Now this was in the days before the draft, so he played with the Leafs. He would be in the AHL's affiliate, Rochester. He would be called up to the Leafs during the 57 season and never went to the minors ever again. Baun had won 4 cups in 62, 63, 64, and 67 with the Leafs, so he was amazing. He was not considered an offensive threat because he couldn't score more than 20 points in a single season. Baun developed a reputation for understanding the business side of the NHL before the Players Union. Unfortunately, Punch Imlach was not too pleased with Bobby Baun being talked to by other players to seek spend the contracts and salaries. Baun would have a couple of holdouts, but unfortunately Baun would get injured and didn't really play much. Baun would have been a big part of the 67 Leafs, but he was on the bench most of the time as Larry Hillman took over his spot on the squad. Toronto would leave him unprotected in the 1967 NHL expansion draft, and Oakland decided to take him as one of the big guns and hoping that people would take the Oakland Seals respectively. Seriously. Unfortunately, the offense stymied Oakland, and they finished with the worst record in the league. Baun would then decide to ask to be traded away from Oakland, and they traded him to Detroit in May 1968. He played a couple of years for the Detroit Red Wings before issues with coach Ned Harkness put him on waivers. Buffalo would claim him, but then traded him to St. Louis. Baun didn't want to go to St. Louis, and then the Leafs decided to pick up him for Brett Selby, so that meant that Baun was back in the Leafs outfit. Baun was very effective, and the Leafs got him back, and he played a few years and all that. So anyway, Baun's neck injury after being hit by Ricky Redmond actually ended his NHL career. He would run a cattle farm and then was hired to be head coach of Toronto of the WHA, Toronto Toros. Playing for the Toros, ironically, would be 3 of his former teammates: Frank Mahovlich, Paul Henderson, and Jim Dory. Whereas they also had Mark Napier and Vlaslav Nedorovsky. But in 1976, they finished with the worst record of the league. They actually had fewer points than the Minnesota Fighting Saints, who actually folded with 21 games left. Baun was replaced as coach, and the Toros would soon head to Birmingham because of Harold Ballard's meddling. Baun actually organized the NHL Alumni Association and made an investigation into the NHL's pension plan. Baun's pension would only have been $7,600 a year. He gave up on the plan to investigate the pension plan. However, Carl Brewer would pick up the pieces and help destroy Alan Eagleson's career. Baun was inducted into the Ontario Sports Hall of Fame in 2010. So Baun played from 1957 to 1967 with the Leafs, then 1 season with Oakland, two and a bit years with Detroit, and then the Leafs picked him up for 3 seasons, which was amazing and all that. Of course, let's not forget one of the most key moments of Bobby Baun's career. Why people in Toronto talk about him. It's the 1964 Stanley Cup Finals, Game 6. Leafs and Red Wings are playing each other. Red Wings win, they win the cup. If the Leafs win, there's a Game 7 back in Toronto the following Saturday night. Bob Baun allegedly took a gigantic shot off of, I can't remember who the stick was. but in the end, it was key for the Leafs, especially in Game 6. As he took the Gordie Howe slap shot on the ankle and had to leave play. With his leg apparently frozen and with cortisone shots, he jumped on the ice in overtime and scored the overtime goal from the point to tie the series at 3. The Leafs would win on the Saturday night with Baun still having that ankle injury and won the game 4-0 to secure their 3rd straight Stanley Cup championship. A lot of people thought that Bobby Baun was just acting, but I don't think he was. Bobby Baun had a fantastic time as a Toronto Maple Leafs defenseman, and he would be sadly missed. He was number 21 before Brian Salming, so 2 Toronto defensemen wearing number 21 suffered deaths. Bobby Baun was 86 years old.